Okay, so Michael Knowles has uploaded yet another video where he said, this one titled, "This is how you remove porn from schools." He gets on here, he just gets on a very long-standing, socially conservative hobby horse, which is complaining about the alleged obscenity and pornography that supposedly pervades in school libraries and on school book curriculums, literary curriculums, and that sort of thing. To be very clear, we are not talking about actual genre pornography. We're not talking about things that are created as porn, distributed as porn, marketed as porn, that sort of thing. We're not talking about, photo spreads from Hustler magazine. We're not talking about DVDs put out by Evil Angel or Wicked Pictures or Vivid Video or something like that. We're not talking about actual genre pornography. What we're talking about are books that have sexual scenes in them that parents object to having their kids read. And so, time and time again, malcontented parents get up there and, outraged parents get up there and try to make the case that whatever book they're offended by this week is actually pornography that needs to be removed from the shelves. In the case of this video, Michael Knowles is using an excerpt of a video where a dad speaks to a concerned father, speaks to a school board in upstate New York. And the book in question is Girl in Translation by Jean Kwok. That's Kwok. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I think it's Kwok or Kwok or something like that. But anyway, Jean Kwok, Girl in Translation is the book. And he's attempting to argue that this book is obscene, and then he threatens the school board with a tidal wave of legal action against them if they do not remove this book at once from the curriculum and from the libraries. And so, again, like I said, this is a very, very long-standing conservative hobby horse. It goes all the way back at least 50 years to when Judy Blume wrote and published the book Forever, which has realistic sex scenes involving teenagers in it. And so it's a very old thing, but it bears commentary because the Daily Wire is gaining a lot of ground, and me being a libertarian, I'm willing to say that sometimes I agree with them, sometimes I don't. But they do have, when it gets to the point of their actual agenda, their actual vision for society, they basically want us to be Mennonites with internet access. And so I have a real problem with their socially conservative agenda, and that's what bears addressing in this video. Now, last fall, I got a DMCA takedown notice on one of my videos from the Daily Wire, so I'm not going to use just the video. I'm not going to use the actual excerpt from the video here. And when I say I got a DMCA takedown notice, I don't mean it was one of those automated content ID things on YouTube. I mean somebody from the Daily Wire's parent company actually sent a formal complaint letter to YouTube. So I'm not going to tempt fate again. But what I will do is I will read the passage that the father in the video reads from Girl in Translation, and this is what he considers obscene and pornographic. Quote, "I'd never been naked with a man before, and Matt's skin felt warm and rough. He must have taken care of the condom somehow, and then suddenly he was inside me. I gasped, but it hadn't hurt as much as I'd expected it to. And then I couldn't think at all anymore. When he finally came, he started to cry again. I held him tenderly in my arms. We lay there together, both breathing hard, returning to ourselves." Okay. That is what this dad thinks constitutes pornography. Now, to articulate how inappropriate he thinks the reading of this book is for and or to children, and children is too broad of a term. We're talking about teenagers in 10th grade here. Average age 15 is what he's specifically referring to with this book. He uses this very odd example. He says that if you were a father at a 15-year-old girl's birthday party, and she was given the book Girl in Translation as a gift, it would be inappropriate for you as the father to pick up the book, open to this scene, and read those words to a room full of 15-year-old girls. Therefore, it should also be inappropriate for teachers to teach this material. Okay. The reason that it would be inappropriate for you as a father in that situation to do that is because if you did that, it's not because of the book itself, it's because if you did that, it would immediately call into question what your intentions were in reading that passage to those girls. Was it your intention to sexually entice them, to sexually arouse them? Was it your intention to intimidate them or harass them in some way? What was your reason for doing it? That's why it would be inappropriate for you to do that. By contrast, if we're talking about something that's being taught in a school curriculum, if teachers want if teachers in an English lit class want to get approval from the school board for reading a certain book or teaching a certain book to the kids, they're going to have to submit a curriculum proposal explaining what's being taught in the book and why, or what's in the book, what's being taught and why. And if their actual curriculum is being adhered to, then there's not an issue. If that scene is being taught in the context, if the book is being taught in the context of this book has sexually explicit content in it, when we get to it, I expect you to be grown up and take it seriously. We're not going to hold on it. We're going to instead discuss the work as a whole, and when we discuss those scenes, we will discuss them in the context of the literary merit of the work, what it means as a whole, what it means for the characters, etc., etc. If that's the context that it's being taught in, and that's the context that the school board understands that it's being taught in, then no, there's not a problem, and there's not a problem with teachers giving pornography to children or librarians giving pornography to children or anything like that. If there was a circumstance where it was being used, that scene was being used specifically to entice and elicit sexual arousal from a child or harass them in some way, then you would have, yes, you would have a case to be made there. But that would only reflect on that specific instance of the book being used, not the teaching of the book itself. Now, those are just my general observations, but let's go with his actual idea, because he thinks that he can file obscenity charges against the school board to have the book removed. And he starts threatening in the video, he starts threatening the school board with obscenity charges if they don't remove the book. So, first of all, if you've ever watched Parks and Rec, you're going to know that the low-level bureaucrats in our local municipality systems, the systems of our local municipalities, they have to sit and listen to one complaint from one malcontented individual after another, and they are not going to be threatened by your complaint, feel threatened by your complaining or by your nonsense. They have to listen to this shit all day long. That said, actual obscenity charges are unbelievably difficult to bring and are almost never brought in the first place, much less tried and prosecuted, because obscenity laws are widely understood to be unconstitutionally vague. And to make that point, let's look at the New York State obscenity law. This is what this is what this father would have to prove in order to make the case that this book that he read from, or that he's reading from, is obscene. Okay, so we've got that passage, and I don't know if there's more sex scenes in the book than that, or more explicit discussions of sex than that, or anything. I don't know, but it's his case. It's his job to make his case. So let's look at the actual obscenity law. So New York State obscenity law defines as obscene any material or performance that A, the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that, considered as a whole, its predominant appeal is to the prurient interest in sex. B, it depicts or describes in patently offensive manner actual or simulated sexual intercourse, criminal sexual act, sexual bestiality, masturbation, sadism, masochism, excretion, or lewd exhibition of the genitals, And C, considered as a whole, it lacks serious literary, artistic, political, and scientific value. Predominant appeal shall be judged with reference to ordinary adults unless it appears from the character of the material or the circumstances of its dissemination to be designed for children or other specially susceptible audience. Okay, so first of all, Girl in Translation is not designed specifically for children. Even then, you would have to make the case that the young adult demographic is enough of a closed net that the readers of young adult constitute children that cannot view that kind of material, and that's a very difficult thing to say when you could you have PG-13 movies widely available to children of this age that have similar degrees of sexuality in there. But that's not even the I should say teenagers specifically. We're talking about people that would be legally able to view that sort of thing. But that's not even the strongest or most important point. The most important point here is that the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that, considered as a whole, its predominant appeal is to the prurient interest in sex. Okay, basically, was this piece of fiction written with the purpose of arousing you and getting you off? Okay, well, here's the Amazon promo copy for Girl in Translation. When Kimberly Chang and her mother immigrate from Hong Kong to Brooklyn, squalor, she quickly begins a secret double life. Exceptional schoolgirl during the day, Chinatown sweatshop worker in the evenings, disguising the more difficult truths of her life, like the staggering degree of her poverty, the weight of her family's future resting on her shoulders, or her secret love for a factory boy who shares none of her talent or ambition. Kimberly learns to constantly translate not just her language, but herself back and forth between the worlds she straddles. Through Kimberly's story, author Jean Kwok, who also immigrated from Hong Kong as a young girl, brings to the page the lives of countless immigrants who are caught between the pressure to succeed in America, their duty to their family, and their own personal desires, exposing a world that we rarely hear about. Written in an indelible voice that dramatizes the tensions of an immigrant girl growing up between two cultures, surrounded by a language and a world only half understood, Girl in Translation is an unforgettable classic novel of an American immigrant, a moving tale of hardship and triumph, heartbreak and love, and all that gets lost in translation. Okay, so right there, right there, remember, all three, A, B, and C, all have to be met in order for something to be judged obscene. The A criteria is already out the window already. This book is obviously not written to be a treatise on, or rather a description of purely sexual content for the sake of eliciting arousal. That obviously is not what this book is. So that's already off the table. Then the next question, B, does it depict that in a patently offensive manner? I would argue no. I mean, you would have to argue that that passage we just read was written with the purpose of being offensive. That it was not just written with the intention of discussing sexuality or depicting sexuality, but it was done with the intention of depicting sexuality in a manner that was off-putting to people with the intention of being off-putting. Certainly not. Absolutely not. And then C, that the work taken as a whole lacks serious artistic, literary or artistic value. Well, obviously, it is written to have serious literary and artistic value. It's a work of literary fiction. And so there is absolutely no basis for this argument. And it's just so aggravating because this is one of those things that conservatives keep hammering on and trying to hammer home about, is this idea that they're reading pornography to your children in school, and you need to be afraid. You know, you need to get and it's literally just the conservative version of woke, you know, and I like I said, I've done several takes now. I can't remember if I said this already or not, but Michael Knowles' socially conservative vision of for America is that we're basically Mennonites with internet access. And that's why he gloms on to ridiculous nonsense like this. But no, Girl in Translation obviously is not pornographic. I wanted to make this point though. I wanted to read you the lyrics to a song called "Quack Like a Duck" by the band Goat and Your Mom. And at this point, I will offer a content, and not safe for work, not appropriate for children content advisory, because we are going into patently vulgar material here. But the chorus goes, "Can you quack? Can you quack like a duck when you suck? Can you buck like a horse when we fuck? Can you take every inch up your butt? Can you shit on my chest for good luck? Can you quack? Can you quack like a duck when you suck? Can you fart on my balls when we fuck? Can you stick your whole tongue up my butt? Can you shit on my chest for good luck? Can you quack? Can you quack like a duck when you suck? Give it a suck, give it a fuck. But you ain't cute enough to where I want to knock you up, and if you swallow it whole, you can take it up the butt. Now, I might keep you around long enough to bust a nut. Well, I want to knock you down because I want to knock you up. All I really want to do is fuck you in the butt. Then you turn around and suck it up when your girlfriend's behind me with her tongue up my butt." Okay, that you would have a much easier time making a case that that was patently obscene. Yes, it's obviously written with the sole purpose of being vulgar, with the sole purpose of being shocking on the basis of sexuality. But the problem is, and this is where this is the thing about obscenity law. The thing is, it's also a song. And so you have to then make the argument that the lyrical content is more, the appeal of the lyrical content is more prevalent than the appeal of the musical content. And that's where it starts to get difficult. That's where it starts to get dicey. And again, I'm not trying to be in denial about anything. I don't think that I don't think that I don't think the song "Quack Like a Duck" by Goat and Your Mom has serious artistic merit. But again, that's my opinion. So how do we establish objectively that it lacks serious artistic merit? And I bring all of that up because the ultimate point here is that obscenity law is almost never brought to trial, and even less often prosecuted successfully, because it's widely understood to be unconstitutionally vague. And so Michael Knowles even admits as much in his in this video here. He says that pornography. He acknowledges that pornography is difficult to define, but we know it when we see it. Unless it is being specifically created, marketed, and sold as porn, then no, that's actually a very difficult argument to make. So, just another example of how the conservatives want us to, the conservative vision, the socially conservative vision that, where it's the socially conservative vision for the world, where we basically all live in adventures and odyssey, but we're not having any fun. That whole concept it's always looming in the background, and they will always hammer on these things. I don't think the arguments in this video have any actual merit, but it's worth debunking anyway, just so that we don't bolster the appeal of this nonsense or the atmosphere of paranoia that it seeks to foster. Anyway, peace.